not happened. I intentionally went to the hospital on the day because the incident happened in the ward that I have to represent. And I saw one officer, the other officer was in surgery, and the Attorney General was there along with her assistant and the prosecutor, and I spoke to them. So I can say from my own witness that what the director said on this is 200% correct and in line with what happened. So if anyone have a question on this before we get to general public safety in Atlantic City? Anyone? A question on what the director just said? Okay, seeing none, Director, there was a concern raised about the general safety of the public in the city of Atlantic City, and I said I would have you to answer that. And I'm not even going to weigh in. Tell us how citizens and visitors should feel about the general safety of the city of Atlantic City.
So the first thing I'll say is the safety of the city of Atlantic City is down consistently. Or safety, crime is down consistently, and safety is up. In the city of Atlantic City, 3 years, I think we're continuing that trend. In fact, I know it's continuing the trend into a 4th year. So overall, things are safe. But I will tell you a conversation that I had with a good friend of the president's by the name of Jesse Tweedle in 2016 or 2017. We had just had a shooting that was so brazen and so daylight in the middle of the central business district of Pleasantville, it was crazy. That I literally gave the order to say every single police officer that can work for at least 4 hours should come to work for the next 3 weeks and drive a police car because we need to tamp this down, because it was crazy. It scared everybody very badly. Fast forward a couple of weeks, the mayor called me and he said, "Chief, we got a real problem." I said, "What is it?" Because I was so excited that we had pushed these shootings down and things had been peaceful for probably a month at that point. He said, "People are speeding on Main Street like crazy." And I started laughing. And he said, "Why are you laughing at me?" Now you need to understand my relationship with Jesse Tweedle. I would walk through walls for the man. And I said, "Mayor, 2 months ago, we had every single police officer working that we could find because people were getting shot in the street. And now we're talking about speed." He said, "Yeah, but it's a real problem." I said, "Yes, sir, we're going to get right on it." I was so happy to chase speeders, I didn't know what to do with myself. I will tell you this. We have a real problem, and residents are rightly concerned, and I'm not making fun of it. There was a group of kids that were really nasty and were throwing rocks at residents in Chelsea Heights. And it became such a pervasive problem, and it continued, that we've assigned some special officers to specifically pay attention to that. We have a big problem with loud music and disorderly behavior at the seawall, and we're going to be dealing with that, and we're actually going to be increasing patrols down there, and we're going to be looking at that. But I want you to remember that on Tuesday, one of our police officers was shot. Yeah. And so while I understand and I appreciate it is important that the music is too loud and the kids are too rowdy, I agree. And we need to do something about it, and we will do something about it. And we're expending our resources that we have to make sure that we've got some extra cops at a particular time in Chelsea Heights. We're making sure that we've got the right number of officers and the right number of checks going on at Caspian Beach and Gardner's Basin. But what we are not going to do y'all remember the bicycles down Pacific Avenue last summer?
Right. Yeah.
And somebody told me on the internet that I was supposed to run them over?
Oh my goodness.
So sometimes the job in public safety is to look somebody calmly in the eye and say, "Rep, take a breath. They're kids, being kids." It is important that we make sure that our community does not feel unsafe, right? Absolutely, it is important. We do need to have extra police officers there, and we will, The officers are starting either tonight or tomorrow night at the seawall to make sure there's extra cops down there at a particular time that we need them. We're going to make sure that the extra cops, I think they started already at Chelsea Heights, are doing some things. We're putting some extra people into places they need to be. But when we talk about the level of problems that we're talking about, we're not talking about robberies. We're not talking about burglaries. We're not talking about homicides. We're not talking about some of the things that we could be talking about. And I think that a little bit we need to count our blessings and say, yes, these are the biggest problems that we have, and thank God these are the biggest problems that we have. Now let's get after them. Let's deal with them. We will. And I don't mean to minimize them, because they are real problems, and if you're coming here to our community, they are real problems. But I'll tell you, people will tell us that Las Vegas is the safest city in the world, and then people will come back from Las Vegas and say, oh, it's a rat hole. And people will tell us that New York City is so much better, and then they'll come back from New York City and they'll go, oh, I can't even stand it there. Here's a problem across America, ladies and gentlemen. I submit to you, we have a problem with addiction, we have a problem with mental health, we have a problem with social services for folks who are not getting the things that they need at home. And we are looking to law enforcement to do jobs that frankly law enforcement is just not that well suited to do. I don't really have handcuffs in 10-year-old sizes. I don't really know how to make a drug addict act right. We will try and we will do our best, and our police officers are very good at adjusting to the moment and trying to find the best way to say the things that we can to downplay that moment. But when we have a problem with 12-year-olds, I don't know that the police department is where we need to look first.
That's right.
And while the police department will do what we can to help, that's where the police department, and I say on behalf of public safety, we look to you. Because those 12-year-olds, by the time they're justice involved with, we don't have a separate set of handcuffs. We don't have these are issues that we need to try to solve in other places. When they become police officers or police issues, we're gonna do our best. We're gonna do our absolute best. But when we're talking about young kids doing young kid knuckleheaded things, we're going to look to help from everybody to sort of work on that, because we don't want to arrest 12-year-olds. We just don't. And while there are some tools out there, at the end of the day, we need to do better in other places across the board to sort of push this problem down. As far as the ridiculous music and the just ridiculous behavior at the seawall, we're going to go down there. We're going to make a show. We're going to chase some folks off and tell them they have to act right. And if they don't, then we're going to close the seawall for a little while. I don't think it'll get to that. I think people will say, hey, knock it off. And if they don't knock it off, then we'll take it from there. But again, loud music as opposed to robberies, it's a problem, but it's a problem that we're happy to be working on.
Does anyone have any questions related to public safety in general? Please don't call